Biochar, alfalfa, or kelp, only one instantly supercharges soil microbes. If you're a gardener like me, you've probably spent hours staring at the bags of soil amendments at your local garden center, wondering which one will actually do something. Biochar, alfalfa meal, kelp. The truth is they all have their benefits, but only one truly gives your soil microbes an instant boost, supercharging your garden in ways that you can see and feel in days rather than months. Today, I'm going to break down these three powerhouse amendments, explain the science behind them, and give you step-by-step guidance on exactly how to use the winner in your own garden. Let's get something straight. Plants don't grow in soil, they grow in a living ecosystem, and at the heart of that ecosystem are microbes, bacteria, fungi, and other microscopic organisms that break down nutrients, improve soil structure, suppress diseases, and help your plants access water and minerals. Think of them as tiny gardeners working around the clock underground. No amount of fertilizer can replace a thriving microbial community. The best garden amendments don't just feed your plants, they feed your microbes, and that's exactly where the confusion between biochar, alfalfa, and kelp often begins. They all interact with microbes, but in very different ways, and timing is everything. Biochar is basically charcoal for your garden, but don't let that make you think it's just burnt wood. It's a highly porous form of carbon that can hold on to nutrients and water like a sponge. This makes it excellent for improving soil structure and providing habitat for microbes. However, there's a catch: raw biochar is inert. That means if you just throw it in your garden, it won't feed microbes immediately. In fact, it can even pull nutrients out of your soil for a while, until it becomes charged. Experienced gardeners often pre-soak biochar in compost tea, fish emulsion, or another nutrient-rich liquid to kickstart microbial colonization. Once charged, biochar is amazing for long-term soil health, but it's not the instant microbe booster you might be hoping for. Alfalfa meal is a classic garden favorite, and for good reason. It's rich in nitrogen and contains natural growth stimulants like triaconanol. When added to soil, it encourages microbial activity and slowly releases nutrients, which can support leafy growth. The effect is definitely noticeable, but it's moderate. You'll see improved soil structure and plant vigor over weeks rather than days. Alfalfa meal also needs proper application. Too much can heat the soil and temporarily stress seedlings. For gardeners looking for steady, reliable soil nutrition, it's a fantastic choice. But if your goal is instant microbe activation, it won't give you the speed you're after. Now let's talk about kelp. I'm not just talking about the seaweed you might see in a smoothie. Kelp meal or kelp extract is a powerhouse for your soil microbiome. Packed with trace minerals, polysaccharides, and natural plant hormones like cytokinins, it feeds soil microbes directly and instantly. The magic happens because microbes thrive on the sugars and compounds in kelp. Within just a few days of application, microbial populations spike, improving nutrient cycling and enhancing plant growth. Unlike biochar, kelp doesn't need to be pre-charged, and, unlike alfalfa, it doesn't release nutrients slowly. If you want your soil to come alive fast, kelp is your go-to amendment. I've seen it in my own raised beds. After just 1 week of applying kelp extract, the soil smells sweeter, the compost is teeming with life, and young seedlings start showing more vigorous growth. That's the microbial magic at work. The best part about kelp is that it's easy to use, but there's a right way and a wrong way, especially if you want the fastest microbial response. Let's break it down based on your garden setup. For garden beds, around 10 square feet, dry kelp meal works well when lightly incorporated into the top 2 to 3 inches of soil at about half a cup per bed. If you prefer a liquid application, mix 1 tablespoon of kelp concentrate into 1 gallon of water and apply evenly over the same area. For raised beds, roughly 4 by 8 feet or 32 square feet, you'll need a bit more. Spread 1.5 to 2 cups of dry kelp into the top layer and water it in. For liquid applications, mix 3 to 4 tablespoons into 4 gallons of water and apply evenly. For containers, the ratios are smaller but equally effective. Use about 1 tablespoon of dry kelp per gallon of soil, or for liquid feeding, mix half a teaspoon per quart of water. Apply every 2 to 4 weeks for consistent microbial support. A key tip: kelp is gentle, so it can be used with seedlings, established plants, and even mixed with compost or other amendments. It's versatile, efficient, and truly instant in its effect. First, prepare the soil by loosening the top 2 to 3 inches. This helps microbes get in contact with the kelp and distribute it evenly. Next, apply dry kelp, by sprinkling the correct amount based on your garden size and lightly mixing it into the soil. Avoid overworking, you just want it incorporated, not buried. Then, apply liquid kelp by following the ratios above, watering gently to move nutrients into the soil without washing them away. Observe and repeat. Reapply liquid kelp every 2 to 4 weeks. You'll notice soil that smells healthier, seedlings that grow faster, and roots that spread more freely. Pair with good practices like mulching, composting, and gentle watering to amplify kelp's effects. Microbes thrive in an environment that's consistently moist, nutrient-rich, and protected from extremes. Even though kelp is forgiving, there are a few pitfalls to avoid. Over-application is the most common mistake. Too much dry kelp can clump, and too much liquid can create temporary nutrient imbalances. Kelp should never replace a well-balanced soil plan. It's a microbial booster, not a standalone fertilizer. Also, store kelp away from direct sunlight and heat to maintain its potency. Lastly, don't expect a miracle overnight. Microbes respond quickly, but plants take time to translate that into visible growth. While kelp is the fastest way to energize microbes, combining it with biochar or alfalfa meal can create a long-term soil powerhouse. For example, biochar improves water retention and creates microbial habitats, while alfalfa meal provides slow-release nitrogen. Using kelp as the instant activation step while keeping biochar and alfalfa for structural and long-term nutrient benefits is a strategy many experienced gardeners swear by. It's like building a high-performance car. Biochar is the frame, alfalfa is the fuel tank, and kelp is the turbocharger that gets things moving fast. I've tried all 3 amendments in my own garden, and the results are undeniable. Biochar is amazing for long-term health, alfalfa is great for slow, steady growth, but kelp is the one that immediately wakes up your soil. You don't have to wait weeks or months to see microbial life returning to your garden beds. It happens in days. For beginner gardeners, kelp is forgiving and easy. For experienced gardeners, it's a tool to maximize harvests, accelerate composting, and enhance plant health. And for everyone in between, it's an accessible, natural way to nurture the invisible but essential life under our feet. Here's a small experiment to try. Pick one raised bed or container, apply kelp as instructed, and watch the difference in soil activity. Compare it to a bed where you've applied only biochar or alfalfa. Within a week, you'll likely notice more microbial movement, stronger roots, and plants that seem to perk up. That's the instant effect of kelp feeding your garden's tiniest, most powerful helpers. Gardening is about observation, curiosity, and learning from your soil. Kelp gives you the feedback you can see almost immediately, making it a perfect tool for both new and seasoned gardeners. So, what's the bottom line? Biochar is great for long-term soil structure, alfalfa provides slow, steady nutrition, but kelp is the instant microbe supercharger. With the correct ratios, applied thoughtfully, it brings your garden to life, feeding the microbes that truly drive plant growth. Whether you're working with a small container, a raised bed, or a full garden plot, kelp is simple, effective, and powerful. It's not just an amendment, it's a way to see the hidden life in your soil thrive, and ultimately, make your garden healthier and more productive. If you found this guide useful, make sure to subscribe to Soil Power for more actionable tips, real-world experiments, and the best ways to energize your garden naturally. Share this with your fellow gardeners and friends. You never know who's waiting to supercharge their soil and see life in their garden like never before. Let's grow stronger gardens together, one microbe at a time.